seeing you all here. Cleaning up some cast iron. I figured I'd bring everybody in for sort of a different look here. And you may ask yourself, Badger, what are you doing? Well, I'm cleaning cast iron right now, is what I'm doing. I'm trying to line up the camera a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing and all that. And I am going to go to subscriber mode. And remember how I did that. And how did I do that? Just keep going, keep going. And we're hitting subscribe mode. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now. And one more thing. Integration. Okay. All right. And there we go. All right. So we should be pretty cool at this point. All right, so you're probably wondering what is going on right now. I'm sort of at the point right now where I'm using baking soda to cover everything. And you can kind of see that. I hope you can see that really well. I'm trying to kind of angle the camera over so that everybody can see what I'm doing. There we go. There we go. Now I'm all logged into the chat. This is sort of a pop-up, I guess, video. I wasn't really planning to go live today, but I am. So, now I'm successfully connected. All right, cool. All right, so anyway, so what I'm doing is I cover this stuff. You're sort of at the end of this one. I'm going to get these cleaned up, finish cleaning this process up, and then we're going to start a new one here once I get get everything started. So there we go. And let me see here. Let me just. All right, there we go. There we go. Who all is in here? Rick Stummel, I can see and hear you. Thank you so much. Thanks for showing up. Somebody will come in. Some people will show up. And like I said, this is just sort of a pop-up. Because I was cleaning cast iron. I had a lot of cast iron to clean this week. I'm trying to empty out the lye tank for and get a lot of my older restorations finished next week and this week. But I had a lot of cast iron to clean for other people that is just now kind of ripe. It's been sitting in the lye tank long enough to where it's actually able to be cleaned. So we all know how that goes. Sometimes the iron doesn't. We don't control the iron controls us. But yeah, so anyway, these are covered right now in a ton of baking soda, which is one thing I don't scrimp on when I'm doing cast iron restoration, because what I've already done with this is I've taken it out of the lye tank, I've cleaned it, I've added some vinegar to it into the water to kill the to neutralize the lye. That's the process that I do on these things with my restorations. Is they go to the lye tank, and if they don't need to go to the E-tank, which the stuff that's in my lye tank right now didn't need to go to the E-tank, what I do is I take it out of the lye tank, and then I fill this up with water, and then I add about a cup of vinegar to that. I know you see a lot of folks that spray or do different things like that with the vinegar. I don't want to etch my cast iron, and a lot of times with the older stuff and the vintage things, you can really put it etching on your cast iron with it, which by etching I mean it makes it splotchy. It makes it almost look like, how do you want to say it? It makes it look like it's sort of been flicked with bleach. It sort of makes it look like that, and it takes a lot of seasoning to cover that up and a lot of use. So what I do is I fill it up to just to the point where the water is covering the cast iron, and then I add about a cup of vinegar to that, and that has the same effect. Then I scrub the rust and all the other stuff off there after it's sat about 20 or 30 minutes. And then I go to the next phase, which is I drain it off, dry it off really well, and then I cover it in baking soda. The baking soda then neutralizes, you're in the process of neutralizing your previous chemicals. You start with lye, use the vinegar to work on the rust a little bit and to neutralize the lye. Then the next step is to neutralize the vinegar. And the best thing to neutralize your vinegar is with baking soda. So there you go. See if we have any questions so far. Because you had to catch doing your sermons, but I wasn't expecting to come on live this morning. Yeah, I like I said, I just came on to kind of as I was going through it, and I'm at the end of this one, and I'm gonna go grab another piece, depending on what's out there, because I'm sort of playing lye tank bingo. I don't really know what's out there, because it's been so long since I've got into that tank, but I want that tank because it's my biggest one. And I want that back so I can take and put all my, put all my, my vintage stuff into that one as well. And I can put them all at one time. And this is kind of a cool little pan that I'm working on right now. If you don't know what this is, it is a Lodge smoking skillet. You've never seen one. And this one was in really bad shape because I'd left it in my grill, at the bottom of my grill pan, in my coal bed for about 2 years. And that's where I was at with that. I might just actually hit this with a little bit, got a little flash rust. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit more vinegar to this, to my scrubber, and that'll get rid of that flash rust. And it won't do anything serious. It won't do anything serious because we've got so much baking soda in there. And I was sitting there talking instead of getting to what I was supposed to be doing. Alright, let's see if we got any more questions, which I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing a whole lot in the comment section. No, Scotty from H-Town, what's up, buddy? Good. Happy morning, Badger. Oh, happy morning to you too. And I am just using Brillo pads from the dollar store. That's where I get my Brillo pads with the soap in them. And this was really in rough shape because I had left it in for so long, into the grill for so long. And it has, if you see the bottom, what you do with this is you put your smoking chips inside this, wet or whatever, and then you set it either off to the side. I like to set it in the middle of the coal, in the corner or in the middle of the coals, and then let it do its smoking thing. It works great in a gas grill too. Actually, I think at the end in the actual design of this, that it was supposed to be for a gas grill, but don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. I don't remember if it is or isn't. So we'll go ahead and wipe this one off. And the baking soda is nice because it also has some grit to it, so it makes good for a final scrub before you start getting into the other stuff. And these are, this one here is for a friend of mine, actually one of the viewers, friend and viewer to the channel, finishing this up today. And hopefully we'll get to his other pan that's been in the lye tank for about a month or so, a couple months maybe, because I haven't had a lot of time to get to my iron or collect. I did pick up some iron today. I actually ordered a piece offline. I got a number 5 Pickle favorite wear that I really liked, and hopefully I can, well actually I didn't pick it up, I actually made the guy an offer, so if he accepts my offer I'll be getting that today. But I haven't been collecting and doing much of that because I've been busy doing the live streams, and I haven't been out, because Sundays and Saturdays is usually when I do that. But I haven't had much of a chance. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to rinse these off. And then you'll be able to see how clean that, what actual stripped down to bare iron, cast iron really looks like. If you can see that, how gray that is. That's what you want. And these are nothing, the reason I really wasn't going to go and do a live stream on these is because they weren't really, the ones in my tank right now aren't anything that really is collectible by any means. Most of them are lodged every day. You want to, when you're rinsing it, you want to try to stay with cold water because you don't want to bring up flash rust. But if you can see how gray that is to actually start out with, that's what you should have at the end of the day. Before you start to reseason, you want to check for rust, and you want to check for any kind of big spots that you may have left when it was covered. And then we're going to wash this off. This is a little tougher than I thought to do with the camera that way. It's actually a little too warm still. We'll wipe out the sink real quick. Yeah, this is hard to do with a camera in the way. That's one of the reasons I wasn't sure about the live streams for this or not. So I didn't know how much I could get away with having a camera in the way while I did it. But anything that helps the cast iron community. And I'd have a little different way of cleaning cast iron from like restoration, from the restoration aspect of it. I take time. I really think it's important. Not that I take time to do whatever. It's just that I think it's really important that you take the time to not skip steps, because lye is a real caustic chemical, especially when I use the lye that I use, which is 100% plumber's lye. Powdered lye, and I don't want to mess with that being an issue. That's why I neutralize that with the vinegar. And I only use 5% acidity vinegar. Do not use the 20 and 25% cleaning vinegar, because that will eat your cast iron like hydrochloric acid. I've seen a lot of really good pieces get ruined by using vinegar that has way higher of an acidity than it should. And so that's just, and I've done it. I did it in my initial years of cleaning cast iron. Some of the biggest, and it was actually my dad's, who's no longer with us, and my dad's Wagner Dutch oven. I used 20 or 25% acidic vinegar, and it turned into a total mess. So. And you'll know that you did it because you can't get rid of the rust with the vinegar. The rust just continues to come back. You know you've etched your stuff and given it a really hard way to go. This thing is really taking a beating though. This is fire. This is actually, I think up here at the top, right around this part, is fire damage from being in the grill bed in the coals for so many years. Which is why I want to get another one. I'm actually going to get another one next time I order anything from Lodge, because these are cool, not only because of what they're designed to do, but you can put vegetables in them, and they come with a lid, and I'm going to bring the lid in next time I'm going to bring the lid on the next thing to clean, because you can see down here where it's pitted out from all the coals, right there, and yeah, it's had a rough life, but it'll continue to have a rough life until it absolutely falls apart, because that's where it's going to be. But anyway, like I was saying, it comes with a lid that has the exact same design. I'll bring that in next, and on top of that, it works good, like I said, for grilling vegetables and stuff like that on the grill. It works really nice for that, as long as you're not trying to make a sauce, obviously. Okay, so we're going to let that sit in there. We're going to throw a little bit of dish soap onto a scrubber, and we're going to wash that up. And this is the only time that I would ever use Dawn Power Wash on my cast iron, is right here. Never again, because it'll eat the seasoning. But we're kind of at a spot where that's what we want to do. We want to get everything, all the old stuff, if anything's left, which there shouldn't be at this point in the ball game. There shouldn't be any left. There we go. And really, the only time, I was thinking about this the other day when people were asking me about soap and, you know, dish detergent. And there are videos on my channel about using soaps, the different kinds of soaps and whatnot. There are some on my channel. But at the end of the day, I really don't use a lot of soap on it because I don't need to. And it's not because it's crazy seasoned or because of cast iron cure or anything like that. It's just because it's cast iron. It really doesn't need soap. It doesn't need any kind of like anything like that. It just needs some warm water and, you know, a couple things to clean it off with. As I thought I had a scrubber sitting here, but I think I just threw it in the washer. But I've got another one. I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so we'll throw that into there. And we'll get all the crud off of this. There we go. Yeah, that's good. That came out really nice. That stripped down really, really well. There's a beard hair in there though. And I have left those. There's been a couple restorations on my, I think it was my Stargazer. For years there was a line, because when I first got my Stargazer, I had a hard time seasoning it, so I stripped it down and then went to go re-season it, and one of my beard hairs was on it. So it had a little curly Q in the middle of it. I don't know if you can see this or not. It's probably going to be hard to pick up. But if you can see on that, there's a design from this pan where it sat in the lye tank for so long, but there's actually a pattern of that on the inside of this. So, Dan, if you're watching, that's what happened here. That's why you have a flower pattern in the middle of your skillet, in the middle of your griddle. Okay, so I'm gonna set those back in here just for a second, and not because they're not done, it's because I don't have the second part of this done, second part ready, because I don't have the oil over here, and I don't have the oven turned on. So let me turn on the oven real quick, because we're gonna get the oven. We're gonna start it at 225. I've already got another piece in there. I've got one that I did at Ming's. I did Ming's little number 8 Lodge yesterday and the day before. So I worked on that one and some other ones. I had some other ones I already did this week, but people have already picked them up. So these are sort of what's left in the lye tank. Ugh. So I've got the stove heating up to 225, and I forgot the avocado oil over there. Well, let me grab that, because we'll go to the next step over here. And you're probably thinking to yourself, why aren't you using cast iron cure? Well, for this part, cast iron cure isn't the most effective way to actually cover it and get your first step done. So even though I am the creator and owner of cast iron cure, I don't feel that it's necessary to use it for this next part. So let's re-rinse these off, because now I'm ready to go. For the most part, I think. And you want to keep them submerged until you're ready to do this part, because flash rust is because there's oxygen available. So in there's no oxygen, rust. So it can sit in that water for a little while before it starts to rust up. So we're going to take just a little bit, we're going to move it over to this way, right over to here onto this towel. There we go. And we're going to set that clean piece right there, and we're going to throw just a little bit of oil onto a rag, onto an old, this is an old t-shirt, and then we're going to dry that off with the oil. Now, you may ask yourself, if you've never done this, why are you putting the oil on now? I'm putting the oil on now because oil and water don't mix. So this is going to help separate. When I put that into the stove, that's going to, oh, knock my cap into there. that's going to turn this into, that's going to separate the oil. The oil is going to separate the water as it dries. Let me go to the other side here. I knew these angles would be the big thing that I'm working on. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Rick. I've actually had a chance to check out the comments section here. Okay, so we've got our oil on here, and I'm using avocado to get this first round. And I need to get a little more oil, which I knew this was going to be a pain in the ass to do with the camera, which is why I really was hesitant to come on here and do these, but I think it's pretty important. So, to show people how to do this part of it, because I talk about it a lot, but I never show anybody. So then we're going to take a little bit more oil with a towel down, obviously, and we're going to wipe that off and give it a thin layer, and we're going to make sure that we get down into the little cracks, the little inset heat ring along the side. And I do not spare oil when I do this either, because it's going to be on the rag, and that's just going to help me eventually. So into all the little crevices. And I'm not too worried about how much I put on, as long as it's enough to cover it. Because when you're actually seasoning the iron, you want it to be as thin of a layer as you can get away with. But in the very beginning, in this step right here, you don't want to scrimp. You want to have a nice layer, even layer. I'm not worried about, as long as it's evenly distributed. And get the handles, make sure you get your handles. And your other side. And then we're just going to set that in the middle rack for this first part. And we'll see how it goes with that. I don't want to use my hands because my hands are wet. My gloves are wet. But you want to have it, make sure that don't see any dry spots like there is right there at the very top. There's a dry spot. Because that will flash rust in there, and you'll have to start kind of back to this step again. You won't have to redo anything, but you will have to restart this step. So there we go. So check for dry spots. I'm not seeing any. And so we're going to throw this into the oven for 20 minutes. And I'm going to do the same thing with this next piece. Go right over here to the sink and grab the next piece out and do the same thing. Now I've also got another piece, Ming's piece, in there, and I'm going to throw it. It's got 2 layers of seasoning, but I'm just going to continue to season it until I'm done altogether with these things. So there we go. So we'll do the smoking pan and rinse this off. Rinse my hands off. There we go. A dog hair on me? Good God, it's a gray hair. Oh my goodness. Thought it was a dog hair. Getting old. The official sign. Okay, so bring this back over this way. And this I'm actually just not too concerned about it, because this is a utility pan. This one's never going to touch food. So we're just giving it a once through. You can tell that it's had a rough life. You can see all the pitting down here at the bottom. You can see it's definitely fire damaged around the top, because I hit that with a wire brush and everything, and it's still turning kind of red. So it's definitely got some fire damage. So I don't expect a great seasoning out of this. And I am drying it off with that oily rag, which is going to help Because like I said, the oil and water don't mix. So as the water in there evaporates and this dries completely, you're going to be left with nothing but oil at the very end of it. So we'll add just a little bit more to this rag. Not much, it's not going to take much. Over this way, add just a little bit more of this avocado oil onto here. I think I said olive oil earlier. You don't want to use olive oil. I think I said olive oil out of habit. You definitely do not want olive oil. The smoke point's not there and it breaks down too easy, which makes olive oil kind of not that great for doing this. Yeah, you can definitely see on here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see it. The different colors, there's blue, there's all different colors of that are on here. And it's really being prone to flash rust, which shouldn't if the iron wasn't damaged. This iron is really in bad shape, but I'm just giving it one more so that it works out, so it doesn't rust away inside my grill. Rust away before I put it back in the grill for this summer. But yeah, you can definitely see up there where it's having some issues. So we'll get just a little bit of oil on my fingers and we'll put that on there. Because like I said, this piece is, this is definitely, this is why you don't throw your cast iron into a fire to clean it. Because it will damage your cast iron, 100%. That may have worked in the cowboy days, or when old grandpappy didn't have the technology that we have today, or the know it about, you know. Yeah, this is definitely one to flash rust real bad because this iron's just beat. But that's, like I said, I'm not going to sit and freak out about it because it doesn't, at the end of the day, this one is not going to be used to eat on. It's going to be used to hold pieces of wood. Pieces of wood while they smoke to make delicious ribs. And it'll last. I mean, this thing will last probably my lifetime and then some, just being used for what I'm using it for, which is just to make ribs taste delicious. Put that on there like that. Get that down into here. A little bit more into there. And this is why I don't use cast iron cure on this, because the cast iron cure this is way more cost effective. And I never use Crisco. Crisco is just, I don't know, hydrogenated soybean oil. And even if in this part, I'm not gonna mess with that stuff. Okay, so we got a good coating on here. We're gonna give it a little rub down, not much, because like I said, I'm not looking for a great finish on this one. I'm just looking for it to be done. And it's gonna continue to rust, flash rust, I think. Any parts that aren't completely covered. And that's all good to go. And I'm gonna throw that into, try to get down into there. Because I don't want it to rust away. The heat damage isn't gonna like melt it or anything like that, but it's just gonna make it to where it can't be seasoned. Like up here, that's a perfect example where it can't be seasoned. It's so pitted. It's so pitted from all the coals. All right, let's throw that into the oven. Let's throw that in there. Once again, we're 225 for 20 minutes. And we're just gonna let these bad boys sit. Now I'm gonna go grab, I know this isn't gonna be too exciting, but I'm gonna go grab another piece out of the lye tank and see what's in there. And I'll be right back. All right? Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get a drink of my beer. Because it's Sunday fun day. Sunday fun day. Alright, we're gonna drain this out. Bring you guys back over this way. And move you over just a pinch. I have an oily rag, once it's seasoned enough iron. Hold on, I moved the camera. I have an oil rag. Once I've seasoned enough iron, the rag is seasoned as well. That's what I use for the initial seasoning cover before I season the process. Right? Yeah, 100%. I've got, and you'll see that too. I've got rags over there. I got rags that started out as wipe off rags, and then became, you know, the main seasoning rag and all that kind of stuff. It's like my neighbor asked me a couple weeks, about a month or two ago. He said, "Do you want a bag full of rags and old towels?" And I'm like, 100%. So I'm gonna jump out there. My lye tank is just like feet from me, so I have to do it two-handed. So just give me a second, and I'll grab that right quick, and I'll grab the next piece. Yeah, go on. And don't let your animals near your lye open, because they lick stuff. And their buttholes like that, they like to lick everything. Let's grab the next piece. Stick with me, I'm coming. I'll be there just a minute. I'm gonna wipe the initial crap off this one, so it doesn't leak all over the place when I walk it through into the kitchen. Hang out just for one more second. There we go. There's the next one. Nice big lodge. What number is this? 10? Should be, yeah. Nice big lodge number 10. There we go. That's what we're gonna do next. Let me shut down my lye tank so the dog doesn't get into it. So let's give this a scrub. Let me get some gloves. Let me get some beat up rubber gloves here. Check the comments. Been here earlier. You never know what I'm going to do, Fuzz. Anything could. This is my channel is like the Wednesday edition of Mickey Mouse Club. Anything could happen. Anything at all could happen. So we're going to start with this by using just a little bit of power wash on there. And we're going to give that an initial scrub-a-dub-dub, which is the only time you ever, I will say this and say it again and say it again, this is the only time that you need to use power wash on cast iron. The two just do not mix. But I want to get any kind of old seasoning crud off there. And I started this about a month or two ago in the cold garage. So I'm hoping that all the crud came off. And if not, we're going to make it come off. As I do everything here left-handed. There we go. But yeah, and like I said, you know, there wasn't a huge plan of doing a live stream because I didn't really think for cast iron folks, people, the collectors out there, would really want to watch me doing any kind of just a rando pan. But I thought, you know, at the same time, I always talk about my process. So I wanted to show the process. That could have sat in there a little bit longer, but because one of the things I don't like to do is, and every pan restoration, and I don't care how long you've been doing pans or haven't been doing pans, every restoration is a little bit different. Some need more of one thing than another. They're just, I mean, my process is always pretty similar, but at the end of the day, they're not all the same. It's not all the same way of going about it. Some just need more help than others with other things. Like this one's going to need help with having way too much crud on it left over. But these didn't need the E-tank. They weren't dirty and they weren't rough. They were just people that bought cast iron and didn't know how to take care of it. Is really what it is. So they're just getting sort of a clean slate. And that includes Ming. Ming, who, you know, you would think being the daughter of a person who has a cast iron business and a cast iron channel, wouldn't let her stuff get to that point. But she did. And I can't get my glove off. There we go. So we're going to rinse this off and see how far what we're dealing with down here with that initial scrub, which it still has some gunk that the lye tank didn't take off, but it's definitely not worth sticking on a 12-volt battery to get off of there. And we got some stuff here in the front that needs to, yeah, that'll come off. But a little bit of scrub-a-dub-dub. People ask me, why do you charge what you charge to clean cast iron, you know, because they think it's kind of expensive. And I always say, hey, I'm taking one of the dirtiest things in your kitchen, and I'm cleaning it for you, and bringing it back to where you can use it again for not very much money. Not a whole heck of a lot. So we get in there, you guys see that part over there, that way. I'm going to need to do a restoration on my camera and camera stand. You can see how that stuff just is coming out, which is good. And if I need a little bit more of that power wash on there, I'm not afraid of power wash. There we go. And we'll get that down into there. And I've been making my own power wash, by the way. Power wash is really easy to make. You just reuse, because I think that the reusable power wash, now mine's kind of strong, which you could hear by that cough that it just made me do. My power wash is kind of strong, but it's definitely effective. Get down into that logo. Get down into here. Keep that kind of wet. I don't know if the flash is starting in place. Doesn't need to start. I used to add oil to, at one point, I used to add oil to the water when I would do this so there wouldn't be any flash rust. And sometimes I think that maybe I should still do that. But this is going to be dumped into some vinegar here shortly anyway. So I'm not too worried about any flash rust sticking around. Okay. See how that did. And once again, we got a nice gray pan. Really nice gray pan. And really, this pan, I could have just washed it for the person. This one, it just needed to be washed really well. It didn't really need to be reseasoned, but I figured while I was doing it, I might as well just do it. Keep that hot water off there. There we go. Check the comments, see what's going on in there. I see a real cast iron person use a fish tank heater in the lye tank. Huh. Maybe. That's, yeah. I mean, did it stay? I haven't seen it. I've had fish before. It's been a long time since I've seen a heater. I'm trying to think how they look, what they look like. Fish that you might something that catch me out. I don't know, I don't know what that is. But anyway, let's flip this over because that other part's good. That little bit will come off with a little bit of help from Mr. Bristly Brush. Here we are. But I might actually put this back in there because it could use a little more. It might need a little more time. I want to use a little more time getting some of that off. We'll see how we get that off. I don't like scrubbing these that much. So if I can throw this back in for another day or two with it scrubbed up, I will do that. Because these are in no hurry, other than I want to get to my vintage cast iron to get it restored. But I'm not going to sit and play this all day long. I'm just getting gunk off that will come off with another day into the lye tank. Especially if it's been scrubbed on a little bit. Because yeah, we're not going to mess with that. We'll just put that back in there, I'll dry it off. And we'll put it back into the tank, grab something else that's a little more ready. Get this stuff off there. Man, the water's running really warm today as well. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing. Trying to get the last of that. But yeah, I think that one will wait till tomorrow evening. But now that I've scrubbed it, I'll throw it back in the tank and let it dry it off with this steel. Let's dry it off so I can carry it out there. And we'll grab a different one that's more where we need it to be. The timer for the other thing's going to be going off here in about 6 to, I can't read it right. I'm at an angle. 5 to 6 minutes. I mean, it's not in bad shape. I just don't feel like with everybody standing here. I don't really feel like well, I'm gonna say it. I don't feel like just standing here scrubbing the crud. I wanted to get more into the method. So we will grab another piece and I'll work on this one tomorrow. Now that I've kind of knocked all the crud off of it loose. And we'll give it a better spot in the tank as well. We'll put it up toward the top. There was a bunch of stuff on this one. So that's another reason that it didn't. There was a pan sitting right here. So that's why it didn't really want to come off. So we'll give that a place at the top of the line. I'll be right back. Grab something different. There's tons of stuff in there. Just give me 1 second. We'll grab something else. things too. All right. Okay. We'll go with this 70s style Wagner wear. You guys see that okay? There we go. We'll go with that one. That'll be fun to mess with. Put my lid back on. Gotta make this beagle proof. She is a pest when it comes to being curious about what I'm doing. She always wants to know exactly what I'm doing. Stand back in there. But yeah, that one just needs a little time here on the top to get itself situated. Get that plastic front off there. And that one even has, this one that I'm working on here, one I'm coming in to do, that even has a little bit of surface rust on it. So we can work on something with surface rust. Put that rag back over here. How's everybody doing today? It is Sunday. It was a joke. Honey Badger, how are you feeling? I am feeling a lot better. That was yeah, that was sort of the week before that I was feeling pretty crappy. But today I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling good enough to have a beer on Sunday. One's not gonna hurt nothing. So this one is fairly clean. You can see onto the inside of that it's they do have the nice swirl marks, 70s style. We'll give it a rinse off. But there's no crud left on this one. And this was one that I got in a, these are like 70s, 80s, even 90s. You can tell by the really rough, really pitted out bad too. These didn't have a very good life. And it's actually it's a spinner. It's a really bad spinner. It's completely uneven. But you can tell on these, it's got the made in the USA, so it's definitely after, you know, that is pretty, even though that people can't really knock down the year when that started happening, about 65 or so. But it's got the made in the USA. The stamping is still the same, but it's not good like it was. It's not as great of a typewriter finish as the other one. You can tell by the logos are different. They're smaller. They're kind of just as rough. This is a rough on the outside where older Wagner, 50s, 30s, it's not rough like this on the outside. It's got a good surface though. I mean, if you're looking for something you don't want to spend a bunch of money on a Wagner, the surfaces of these are still good. The only problem with these is a lot of times to put the initial seasoning on them, I have to use kind of a paintbrush method. But I'm going to see if I can get away with not doing that today. But the surfaces are great. I mean, even the new, I call it the new stuff because it was made like since 19 whatever. But right, like 1970s on. From 1970 on, I always call that the new stuff. And what we'll do is we're going to get that in there. We're going to get this into, it was in the lye bath, lye tank, whatever you want to call it. And this is where I take and I splash just a little bit, about a cup of vinegar into here. Because we're going to neutralize that lye, which is really important. You can see how the kind of bounce, it's kind of having a little fizz action in there. And once this is full and I put it under the water, I'm going to throw a little bit more in there as well. So there we go. I'm on the job site. You're on a job site? You're working today? Well, at least somebody is. I'm working technically. So yeah. But yeah, if you haven't already, we are in subscriber mode. So if you want to comment on everything, please subscribe to the channel. We will be in subscriber mode for quite a while on a lot of these. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you haven't already hit the like button, please hit the like button. That'd be great. And yeah, so we're gonna let that sit in there. I'm also gonna add just a little bit more because I filled that up a little bit more than I wanted to. I was thinking about. So we want to let that sit in there. We're gonna go ahead and start taking. We're gonna go ahead and take this wire brush and we're gonna start hitting that, hitting the rust spots. Because if you notice on the back, it did have some rust pieces, rust patches in there. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do that. Cold water and dry hands. That's what I need to do. I need to keep somewhat dry hands so I can get them in and out of these gloves. And then we're going to work on that rust while it's sitting in there for that half hour. And oh, here in about 3 minutes, we're going to do a little round of seasoning on these. We're going to take get these out of there, and I'm going to bring you guys over to the stove over this way. There we go. Bring you guys. I'm going to unconnect one of these cords that I don't need, and I'm going to bring you guys over here to this side. And that's the other thing with not having the live streams. It's because I'm redoing the kitchen. I'm refiguring where everything's going to do the live streams, and it's kind of like it's kind of trial and error with me right now with a lot of this stuff. So just how that is, because everything is redone. There's even some other stuff coming just aesthetically to come in here for this. So we're gonna start with Ming's pan that she's got here, this is one I gifted her a couple years ago out of my collection. She got this one, and that is just a Lodge number 8. And I got this with a smash burger set. I don't know how many people have ever seen the Lodge smash burger set, but it comes with a smashable, kind of a different, almost, I don't know, I'm not sure if I really like their patty smasher that comes with the set. It's not flat like you would think a grill press would be. It is not flat. It is recessed, almost like you make the patty in it. Let's see. I'm basically retired from trucking now. I watch equipment on the job. Oh, okay. Okay, so anyway, gotcha. You guys are just talking amongst yourself, which is cool. So I'm going to use my product, my cast iron cure. This is the original can. I don't have any other cans here today. I sent my last can out yesterday. But you can go to eBay and find cast iron cure. This is my product. If any of the mods are watching, if you can put a link in the description or into the chat, that would be really, into the comment section, that would be super cool, where people can click the link. And there are 2 options. There's a single can, and there is a multi-tin bundle that has 2 in there. They all come with a burlap sack on there to carry them in. And a lot of people, they take the sack and they attach it to a magnet with a hook on it, and they just set it right there on their vent. I need to get one of those. I need to be cool like that and get one. And it gives if you can tell on here, I've already done 2 rounds, and it has cast iron cure, because of the beeswax in there, it gives it a really nice golden brown to start out with. It will turn black after a while, just like the one behind it. And I think even Huey reviewed it on his channel a while back. It's been a year or 2. Then we'll take our clean. These are just cotton. These are cotton dusting cloths. This wasn't too hot, and I have gloves on. And we're going to wipe that off. We don't want it to be too shiny, just a dull sheen. Just a little sheen on there. And then we'll flip that over. And we're going to add just a little bit. It doesn't take a lot. It's one of the things I like about beeswax seasoning. It just doesn't take much. There's not even enough on there to really even see it. And we're going to get down into the little crevices of it. And sometimes it almost looks, some people will even think when they're doing this, I've had people say, oh man, it looks like it's rusty. And in the initial phases, it will look a little on the rusty side. But yeah, you can pick that up on eBay. It's inexpensive. The more you buy, I even have like price incentives. So the more you pick up, the cheaper it is. And the shipping is free on that. And if you want to see what the cover looks like even better than what I have sitting up there, than this, whatever I did with the top, better than this top, because this is the original one. This is my very first one I ever made. And I've had that lid and can for the last, oh gosh, it's going on 7 years now. And we're going to turn that back over, hit that other side again. With the you always use 2 different rags. You use one to put stuff on and a drier one to wipe it off. There we go. And we'll put that back in there. Move the camera just out of the way just a second so I can stick my head in there and get that on there. And then we'll work on the other 2. Move the camera back here in just a second. And this one is just, this is a perfect reason why you do not stick cast iron in the stove, in a fire, right here. You can see how bad this one is, and as much oil as I put into this, it is just drinking it. It's not doing that great. It doesn't look that good. That's why you don't throw cast iron into the fire and clean it. But I am going to season it up and make sure that it's oiled up so it doesn't rust out anymore over the winter, or as I'm using it in my grill. We back where we need to be? Yes, we are. We're going to cover that with some beeswax seasoning, some cast iron cure. But it is just drinking that up. Definitely drinking that up. Because it has just been through a ringer. Been through the ringer. I might actually even add a little avocado oil extra to get in there on this one and get it where I need it to be, because this one's in bad shape. Don't throw it in the cast iron, no matter what Grandpappy used to do. Remember, Grandpappy used to shit through a hole in the board out in the woods, out behind the house. Technology changes. Some of the old ways are great, and some of them can just be left behind where they belong. And this, throwing cast iron into a fire to clean it, is one of them. Especially prolonged, because this is what happens if you do it for a prolonged period of time. It just ruins, it changes the chemical makeup of the cast iron. It just burns some of the stuff that's in it. It just disintegrates it. Kind of like, kind of burns up it puts a lot more of a carbon element into the makeup of the skillet, and it ruins it. Breaks those carbon elements down, and then it's screwed. But you can see, I mean, I just keep dumping oil on it and it just keeps drinking it, and it will just continue to do it no matter what. So I'm going to call this one done and move on to the next thing, because I'm just not going to mess with that one anymore. This is what it is. You can see where I'm not even wiping it. I'm not even using the drying cloth. And as we sit here, this will it's already starting to do it. It's just soaking that in, because it's just ruined. But it'll work for putting for holding wood chips in my grill and making delicious ribs. So let me move this camera back out the way just for a second so I can dunk my head in there. and get that down in there. And get the next one out, which would be this one. And you can already see that this one is starting to take on a little bit of a darker color already, where it was that true gray. And I'm going to wipe off any excess oil that it may have, because I want it to not be puddled up or pooled up and make sticky, crappy spots. So there we go. Like I said, yeah, it's already starting to catch. It's already starting to catch that little bit of a darker color already. But I'm not seeing any flash rust, so that's cool. That's really nice that it's not doing that. And we're going to give that a wipe down with our seasoning, about that much. And I always start into the logo, and then I go to, if it has any kind of like these, with these recessed heat rings, which are fairly, I don't know if they're just for show or what, but they are there. And we'll wipe that down into here. It's already kind of burning that oil. It's not rust on that pan, it's just sort of a burnt oil. And we'll give it a nice good glaze on there for this. And then I'm going to flip that over. We're going to work on the other side. I'm going to work on the other side of this. But it's getting a nice, it's already getting a nice, starting to darken up just a smidge. And we'll give that onto there. And these Lodge, I just never can go on, I can't go on enough about how much I really like these Lodge 9-inch round griddles. They're just the best. Okay. Get down into that handle. Move that over back into there. Give this a wipe. And sometimes you have to wonder, you know, with the colors and stuff like that, you have to know that it's just taking off some old kind of, or not old, but just sort of some burnt oil. It's not rust, it's not anything like that. It's just kind of the oil starting to brown. You're just taking browned oil off of there. And we're just going to wipe that down just a little bit more. And we're going to throw that into the oven. And then we're going to move this up to, we're currently 225. I like to stay there for 20 minutes. And then we're going to move that up to 350 degrees. And some people may like to do it that way. They may not, you know, may do it a different way. There's a gajillion different ways to season cast iron. You pick yours. We're going to have a great one. Hoping to sell a few. Yeah, have fun, Huey. Let's see. But yeah, you know, that's just one of the things. So we're at that point there. We're going to throw that into the oven at 225. Put that into there. Perfect. And set our timer for 15 minutes. We've already been messing with it a little bit longer than I usually do. So then we're going to come back over here to the this iron. Jumping on over. There we go. And there we go. Sip of beer. A little sip of something to drink. And we'll see how this one's doing. If you get in there, if you guys can see into there, I'll try and get you over there without knocking the camera over. But if you can, it's hard to see though, for me to see as well. Got a lot of glare. But you can see in there, it's kind of bubbling a little bit. It's got some bubbles on the edges. That means it's kind of working on the bottom to get at that rust that's down there. And we'll flip that over and see how it's brought that rust up to the top, and it's starting to make it to where it's kind of just wiping off. There we go. There we are. This is sort of wiping up. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this one is really rough on the outside, and I think that this one was used probably in a campfire setting because it's not really old enough. It could have been used on a wood stove. It's not really old. It's kind of past that whole age of wood stoves, but people still have wood stoves. But it's really pitted right here into the very center. So it was either really rusty at one point from where somebody used it and then never cleaned it, or they used it for a long time and just after a while that wood ash and the fire just sort of pitted the bottom. But that's coming off of there pretty good. So we'll get that down into there. Then we'll get our scrub, get our brush and start taking that off of there. Start getting into there. And see how much of this comes off initially. There we go. So you can see how that's sort of, if you guys can see, can you guys see that okay? Yeah, I think you can. But it's really kind of knocking that rust loose off of there. We'll check comment section if there is one. And I didn't think with this live stream that we would be killing a lot, killing the numbers today, but sometimes it's just about getting a little bit of information out there and a little bit of the in the background kind of stuff. Restoration Live doesn't really pull like a restoration video would pull, so people can go back and watch. Fast forward. Okay, so we got that. You can see that a lot of that rust has come up, and we didn't use a ton of vinegar to do it. We didn't have to like break out a spray bottle and start doing that. We just kind of had it in the water. It's not making the cast iron splotchy or etching anything. And one of the nice ways about doing it that way, instead of going, a lot of people go 50% water, 50% vinegar. One of the things is if you get called away, say something bad, something happens, you get called away from the tank, you don't have to rush home and you're not going to come home and find that your vinegar has eaten your cast iron way down to a handle. You've got a little bit, you got some room, you got some wiggle room with it. But yet it still works. And this is, like I said, if this was really rusted, it would be in my E-tank. I wouldn't be messing with this. One of the few things that I don't put into my E-tank, no matter how much I want to mess with it or how bad it is generally Dutch ovens. And that's just because they're kind of hard to maneuver around in an E-tank. You get a lot of what's called shadowing. And you can do different things. There's different techniques where you can get around that. You can put your anodes in different places and stuff like that, but it's really, for an hour's worth of work, I could do it this way, or I could sit it in a lye tank or an E-tank for, the rest of the day. And this doesn't cost me anything other than the water. It doesn't cost me a dime, other than water and a little bit of vinegar. That's just the cheap part of me. Put that on there. And this is one of the times too, where I have that vinegar in there, and I will put some baking soda on there to give me a little bit of an abrasive. Because baking soda is like my favorite abrasive to use on this. It's like using Ajax on there. all down into that, into the logo. Might just drop a little bit. A little bit of this vinegar in my hand. Like I said, a lot of times, man, when you're doing this stuff, it's sort of play it by ear. A lot of it is play it by ear. So it's kind of nice just to have the tools of what to do and what will help and what won't help and what doesn't work and whatever. You can see it's really taking that rust out of there. And I've got a lot of that abrasive in there as well. And we'll give that a rest just for a second. And then we'll break into the little scrubbing action with the soap pads. Break these out because this is really looking pretty. This is looking pretty decent. The outside is going to be a little rough to mess with, but overall, I sent emails to the others about this video. No, okay. Thanks, Fuzz. And there we go. And I have this tag. This tags. These are. I put these little ties on there. These are mine. This is one that I bought this in a box of Wagner. A lot of times around here, because the Wagner plant was here, or pretty close to where I live, people have sets that they got from their grandparents or were sort of passed down, or they find them in the garage. A lot of times in the garage. And all that, and you'll get them in boxes. And this one I got in a box, and for $50 I got an 8, a 10, a 5, a 6, this griddle, a Dutch oven with no lid, a 2 quart pot, Dutch oven pot, style pot, and what was the other? And I think there was one other thing. Oh, and I'm trying to remember if there was a griddle, there wasn't something else in there. I can't remember. I can't remember now what else was in there. But I got that for $50, and I was like, I can clean these up and let somebody have them, or I can use them out on the fire or something instead of using my better stuff. Because they're not collective. They're just not. I mean, they're if you want to get started with cast iron, I highly suggest getting something like this. But if you're a collector, nobody's going to collect these. They don't even consider this Wagner. They consider it something completely different. A lot of collectors don't collect after 1957. They won't even touch it. Let's see how we did with that. Using very little vinegar. We'll see how we did. So the inside's got some staining, as you can see, and I flicked a bunch of water on there. Hold on. Let me wipe that off my wall. There we go. So anyway, so you can see there's some staining. You're not going to get that out. Even with an E-tank, generally you're not going to get some of the staining out of it. A lot of the deep staining, where this is sat for decades upon decades in a box, probably in somebody's garage. But if you notice on the back here, that little bit of vinegar got rid of all that rust. With just a little bit of scrub, we'll check into the logo here. That I might hit that again in a couple places. But overall, all the rust is gone, and you're set with that. So it doesn't take a lot of vinegar to get rid of your rust. It really doesn't. I wouldn't say it's a myth that it gets rid of all the rust, but I think people doing it for weeks on end, I don't think you really accomplish much more than using a little bit and letting it soak for a little while. Some are really bad. This was kind of bad. I mean, you get some that have been sitting in a river, but I still wouldn't hit them. Even old ones like that, I wouldn't hit them in a. I don't do vinegar bath. That is definitely, that's really how I should say it. I've definitely left the vinegar bath away. I've gotten rid of that. I've just eliminated that whole step. I just don't feel the need for it. Maybe we can sneak this one into that as well. So we vinegared, we baking soda. You hit it with a little bit of baking soda as well. I need to get a little bit more out. We're gonna hit that with some baking soda and give it one last clean. And then we are going to wash it and put it in along with the other ones into the oven. There we go. We still got, we got some folks in here. Badger, those 1970 cast irons are over 50 years old, thus making them vintage. Well, I appreciate your jumping in with the terminology of that all, but I call this new Wagner because this is new Wagner to me. 70s, 80s, 90s is new Wagner. It's definitely not the old Wagner. So, I mean, there's a little bit of terminology I guess we could banter back and forth about, but at the same time, I mean, there is that, whether it's antique or vintage, there are those timelines, I guess, but at the end of the day, to me, this is new Wagner that isn't really, and I used to feel differently about it at one point when I was collecting, that, they're still not making it, but at the same time, it's not the same. And I kind of get now where what people were saying, like when I first started collecting cast iron, that they didn't collect it. I thought that was kind of closed-minded, but I get it now. If you're going to collect, I wouldn't pay, this is a Wagner, but I wouldn't pay more than $15 for this. As far as a collector goes, this is more, to me, it's more, and it's not me being snooty or anything. It's just as a collector, 20, maybe 15 bucks. This is more, I wouldn't put this on eBay because you wouldn't make any money. Like I said, it's going to be really good for on the fire though. Over an open fire, this is going to be fantastic. But it doesn't sit flat. The quality, and that's the other thing, Fuzz, when I'm talking like that, it's the quality is not there. That's the thing. These are made, these are what give kind of old Wagner more of a bad reputation, because this spins like a top, and it probably came from the factory spinning like a top. The quality just wasn't there. I know people say, well, Wagner spins anyway, but my old Wagner doesn't spin. It's the stuff that's made for the stove that has some spin to it. Because Wagner was pretty smart in one aspect, is where they started making their cast iron for people that had electric and gas stoves, not just for, especially electric in those days. So let's put that in there, get everything cleaned out, which means that's why they had that little, some people that have worked at Wagner. I was actually just talking with a guy on Friday that worked at the Wagner plant. And those guys will tell you, now this guy didn't tell me this specifically, but I've talked to other guys that will tell me that little divot in the center and into the bottom is so that it sits on your standard electric range right. Now I don't know if that's a total bullshit or what it is, but I've had people that worked at Wagner tell me that before. So we'll see. We'll see if I don't know if they were full of it or they were just, if that was actually the thing. Could go either way, I think. Let's see, we'll throw a little bit of, wipe this down. Wipe the crud off. Oh, I didn't wash it. I didn't wash that, my bad. That alarm threw me off. So let's go ahead and move this next thing. We're gonna go to the next one. Let me dry my hands off. Let me see. I agree with the price of the Wagners. Age of skill is 20. Yeah, get it. Let me see. I'm guessing he has a cast iron guy too. I don't know what that means. I'm guessing he has a cast iron guy too. I don't know. I couldn't read the other part of that. And I don't want to. I'm looking at the touch screen now. I don't want to touch the screen. Last time I did that, I hit a green screen I could never get rid of for the rest of the stream. So let's jump over here and do this and go onto there. And hopefully my stand doesn't fall over. Okay. So let's grab what's in here, which we're going to start with where we started on the last one, which we're going to start with Ming's Lodge. So we were 225. I'll turn that off. Timer. We're 225. We're just going to wipe off any. I'm going to reapply first, just a little bit. See if I missed anything. And I'm actually trying to wipe off lint from the last rag. And we're just going to wipe that off of there. And I don't need to break the can open anymore. I'm just going to wipe off any excess that's on there. And then we're going to bust this up to, there we go. That one's looking pretty good. That griddle's looking nice. So we're just going to make sure there's no dust or anything on it with our application rag. And make sure there's no excess or any kind of lint, or in my case, dog hair or beard hair or some kind of hair. And then we'll dump that back in there. And then we'll check out the one that is damaged and see the progress of that, which you can see here where that's totally dried out already. It's just sucking up the seasoning into there as well. I'm gonna throw one more round on it. It's already starting to flash because there's just nothing. There's nothing left of this thing. It just now is what it is, which is a smoking exactly what it was intended to do, which is why I'm not miffed about it, because it just is. It's what it's meant to do. Could I have taken better care of it? Probably. Could I have taken it out and hosed it off and dried it and put a little oil on it in between uses? Probably. But I didn't. And actually, the one year that I left it in the grill, I forgot it was even there. I forgot it was even in my grill. So we'll just give it. It's just drinking up the stuff. And we're gonna get this other one. I'm gonna shut that up. I'm gonna go ahead and rush this just a little bit because it is what it is. But we're gonna rush that into there. And before I turn that up to 300, I'm gonna hit this with the oily rag. I'm gonna hit that with the oily rag. We're gonna hit it with the soap. My bad. We're gonna hit it with some soap. We're just gonna wash it up. We're gonna give it a wash real quick. And then I'm gonna throw this basically right into the oven, because it just is what it is. And get that excess nasty off of there. Give it a scrub. And we're just gonna take that into where we take this up to 350. And we're just gonna let it go, because this is for my outdoor use. Clean off all the crud. But it actually, it came out really good for what it, for it being what it is. And I don't think these are worthy, and don't take my blasé attitude toward them the wrong way. I don't think they need to be in the landfill. I just don't think, my thing with them is that I see a lot of people who sell cast iron online, And they automatically think because that's there, that that's worth 10 more bucks. And I just, you know, so they're gonna go at $35, $45, $55 for one of these. That's where I start getting a little, that's where my blasé attitude comes from about these things. It's just because it says Wagner on it doesn't make it an $80, you know, an $80 skillet. It's 15 to 20 at best. Let's make sure that none of the rust stuck around on the inside, which it didn't. We're going to dry this off, and we're going to put some oil on that. Just a smidgen of, I like to keep the oil right around into the logo and description area. Make sure it got down in there so it doesn't flash rust. I'm going to throw just a little bit, and I might rearrange my rag here. Which is kind of, man, this was my favorite t-shirt. This was my Gary Coleman, What You Talking About Willis t-shirt. Actually, I might even be able to show it to you. This was my favorite t-shirt of all time. I've had it for years. But if you can see it, my man, Gary Coleman, the What You Talking About Willis t-shirt that I had for decades, and I wore it all the time. And I literally wore it up until like 3 months ago. And then it made it to the rag bag. But yeah, there's my man Gary Coleman, What You Talking About Willis. One of my favorite t-shirts of all time. And now it is a rag for doing cast iron with. I don't remember if I already put this on or not. I don't remember. So I'm just going to do it again. There we go. But I don't want to hold that off in there too long because I want it to actually be done at some point. The ones that are in there anyway. I mean, there we go. That one's just, most of the time I can get away with setting them right there. This one's just too short to do that. Evidently. I'm just asking a lot from this one pan. So let's get a little oil. Maybe we'll just put it there to oil it, and then I'll hold it. Like I said, they're all a little different. Every pan's a little different. Even if they're the same, they're a little different. Make sure we get down in there. I always try and take the rag itself and kind of weave it into there. Get that oil into there. Oh, and I gotta snip that off of there. I gotta take that off before I put it in. Let's go ahead and do that as well. Where are my snippies? I'll just use the scissors. There we go. We don't want to have that in there. That will not go, that won't fly. Okay, so we'll finish putting the oil on here. It's got a dry spot. And we'll put that into the oven for about 20. I can fit it into there. It'll fit. Let's jump over. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. We'll put that in there to, yeah, a little bit more. Hold on, I'm just going to add a little bit more oil onto that. I don't want that to dry out. And it's looking like it's going to dry out. Since I might just skip that one step. Yeah. Sorry, I'll go. I'm just not going to grab that camera and bring it back over here with greasy hands. Because I needed just a little bit more oil onto this bad boy. And we'll see how it does. Okay, cool. So let's see if we can't make room into there for this somewhere. There we go. And we're going to to take that up to 300. We're going to go and take that up to 350 for just about as long as it takes to hit 350. That's all the longer. And then we'll just wipe off any excess that it may have or whatever. That back there. And I'm going to go grab another piece. And we're just going to keep this party a rolling. I'm going to do this till 2:30 today. And if we go in, and if it takes any longer to do, I'll post the results of what they look like on the page, and we'll go from there. Hey, White Mountain Girl, what's going on? I can send him my vacuum. Boy, I totally missed some stuff on here. Totally missing some stuff. So let me go grab another piece, and we'll see what we got out there to go to the next thing. Man, I'm sipping on this beer like it's... This might be the longest beer I've ever drank. Okay, anyway. Let's keep this party started. Keep this party going anyway. I can't catch up on it. I can send you my vacuum. Yeah. I just got home from work. What? You better be working. I need a sugar mama. Somebody's got to be working around here. Glad it's not me, but you can do it. I know you can. There we go. Oh, anyway, let me go grab another piece out of the light tank. Like I said, I don't want to really take you guys out there for this. Yeah, I even took down I got some cool signs that usually sit up there behind the sink, but I took them down because I've been doing stuff all week, so it's just like there's the white thing that sits behind there. It's my once a month 12 day straight stint. Oh yeah. I told you I'd come out to New England and help you guys cook for a little while. Bring my camper out and stay in the back of the camper. Stay in the camper out in the parking lot. That'd be fun. Had 22 for breakfast. Man. That's pretty busy. I don't think I did when I was in high school. You know, I cooked for people. I didn't work in the restaurant. After high school, I didn't work in the restaurant business anymore, other than one time. And I was a bartender for about a year. But I've never worked in a kitchen after high school. So it's been a lot of years since I've cooked. But I used to do steak and shrimp night at the local university. I used to be the cook. And I was the only one that did the steaks. And I cooked steak for, and it had to be, and I did this within 3 hours. I cooked steak for 1,500 people. And we would do that once a month at the university I worked at when I was in high school. But I would cook 1,500 steaks in about 3 hours. Our breakfast is only from 8:30 to 10. Sometimes I have to try to feed 40. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 1,500. But I didn't feed, it wasn't the whole thing. I just sat out there and we had enormous grills. And me and sometimes they'd give me another guy. And I would make 1,500 steaks. And it was great because I didn't live at home during high school. My last couple of years of high school, I had my own apartment. So steak and shrimp meant that I was having steak and shrimp at my house for the next 4 or 5 days as well, because a couple steaks came home with me. I wasn't always the upstanding and honest person that I am today. Some of those steaks came home with me, and some of the shrimp, and some of their chicken, and their dishes, and ice cream, and anything else I could get my grubby little fingers on at that time came home with me. Let me grab another piece, see if there's another thing that we can get in there. See if we can grab out and cause trouble with it. We can. What is this? found the 8 that came with the set. That's part of that. Came in that box anyway. I don't know if it's really part of that set. Or it came in that box. It's not part of the set, but it's sort of the same time frame. It just doesn't say Wagner on it. Which is about what I was using the other night to show you guys the ones with the swirl marks on them. If you guys can hear me at all. I don't even know if you guys can hear me out here. But my mic's pretty wide, so. Alright. Let me get to the next piece, which is another Wagner. As I said, these aren't anything exciting. Yeah, I think this one. Yeah, I think this one is. That is a 1960s and above Wagner. Let me check the outside. Yeah, this is more like a 60, like right around the sale. And you can tell that by the outside. They are not that rough. As time went on with Wagner, they you can tell the age from the 70s on, because the rougher it got. That's really the best way to tell what you have as far as Wagner goes, the modern stuff. Because literally, the newer it is, the rougher it is. Let's put about a cup of 5% vinegar in there. And let it fill up. Where are we at here? Since I'm a romantic, my next candlelight dinner was just soaked dinner's plastic silver. Yeah, you're definitely what they call a Casanova, I can tell. Know what they say, Casanova? Yeah, Casanova. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna do this till about 2:30, and then I will post the results when they come out in a little bit, because unless I keep going after this one, I don't know. Because the next thing out there, there's a Dutch oven that was in that box that's out there, and I was using that Dutch oven to show you exactly how blasé I am about the newer Wagner. I was using that as my I have one of those bubbling cauldron props where it makes it look like your cauldron is boiling, and I use that Dutch oven to do that. So that's how much I don't really care about that Dutch oven that I have. Let's turn on my fan over here. So we're starting to get a little smoke on that one. Yeah, that was the one thing I was going to mention, that when you use cast iron cure, you don't get the smoke, and you can. I'll actually bring you guys over this way so you can see what I'm talking about. If you look in my oven right now, oh shoot, hold on, we'll get you. I'll get you there. You can see that one in the very bottom is the one that I did with the avocado oil. That is smoking to bejesus. And the other ones on the top that I'm using with the cast iron cure, those are not smoking. There's the smoke point on that is really, really high. But I only take it to 450. Okay, so we're at 350 right now. And I'm gonna prop you guys right here. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real. Now the party's started. What's up, killer? Okay, yeah, and these are the ones that we're in. Some of these are mine, some of these are other people's. Most of these that I'm breaking out are other people's. They're OPPs, other people's pans. And I'm just getting them out so I can get my vintage in there. I got some good pans that need to be redone. And so like I said, I don't think I'm going to take them out and put any more. So we're 350. We did that gradual warm up, and now we're going to go straight to 450, and we're going to let these bad boys ride. We're going to go at 450. Now that, you may say, there's going to be folks out there that go, well, I go to this temperature, or I go to that temperature. You work with whatever works in your stove. Check your smoke points, go to at least that smoke point, and go from there. For my stove, 450 is the magic number. I may get a new stove tomorrow, and 475 may be my magic number. You have to work with what you have, or it doesn't work at all. And once again, when I was over here and I got this into the stove, into the sink area, the reason I put that vinegar in there, it's not to worry about rust. Even if there's no rust, put yourself a half cup or a cup of vinegar into as much of the water as covers it. Usually a half a cup is plenty, and that's to neutralize that lye. You want to neutralize. A lot of people skip that step. I'm not sure why they skip the step, but they do. And the most important thing is to neutralize that lye every single time. Lye is a very caustic chemical. Some people react to it really. 99.9% of people react to lye very, very horribly. It's bad. If you've ever seen Fight Club, that's how they give themselves the burns on top of their hands, is with lye, because they make lye soap, and that's what they do for money. And lye is not something that's fun. So definitely make sure that after the lye tank, you are letting it soak in just a little bit. It doesn't take much, and neutralize that lye, and then help loosen up the little bit, and that'll help loosen your rust as you go. There is a little bit of rust on that, if you can see it. There's a smidge on the handle area, right up through here. Once again, this pan has been through the ringer. It's real pitted right through here, and right through here, and right through here. You know, somebody used these a little bit, and then they put them away and put them in a garage. They got wet. They sat in a bunch of water, and that's their big issue. It's surface rust. It's not really that embedded as far as I can tell, but we're going to hit that with a brush and knock that stuff loose once it's sat in there for a little bit. Actually, I'm going to start doing it here pretty quick and start loosening that rust up, because the vinegar works. Even a little bit of vinegar works really good. Some of it's just wiping off, but that's the reason for that. And then to neutralize the vinegar, definitely use baking soda as your final scrub before you use the soap, because the baking soda will neutralize the vinegar. There's a little bit of science to it, but it's all pretty much stuff you learned in 9th grade to get cast iron back. Everybody learned this stuff in like 9th grade science class. Maybe even before that. My school was pretty terrible, so most normal people probably learned it in 3rd grade. My school regular science was probably considered college prep. Check comments if there are any, and see what's going on. What's the link to the cast iron cure on eBay? I do not have it. It will not let me for some reason, and I've sent I don't know how many emails to YouTube of why I can't post my links up there in the descriptions. It absolutely looks like other print. I don't know why it does it. But I was wondering if you could go on there, Rick, and if you could copy paste that and put it into the comment section, because I know you guys can, which is something I just don't understand. Yeah. Oh, you did? Did it work? We're going to sit here and stare at this cast iron in my sink while Rick and I talk back and forth. There we go. See, there you go. If you click on that link under Mr. Stumball's, the moderator's comment there, that's the link to cast iron here. Thank you so much, Rick. But you can hit on that. There's 2 options. You can take the single can, free shipping, or you can take the price discount, double 2 cans, and it's also free shipping. So it's free shipping on eBay no matter where you go. And I have I'm heading to the shop tomorrow to make more cast iron cure, so it will be out. If you order today, it will be out tomorrow. and gets anywhere in the United States in about 3 days. You can see here, I'm going to show you guys. You can see that in the background. See the smoke coming out of my exhaust burner? That's from that avocado oil, straight. Yep, that is definitely smoking up my kitchen. But now that it's been in there, I'm going to wipe that off of there. We're going to fix that real quick, and then I'm going to put some cast iron cure onto it, because the cast iron will stop that smoke. That's from just having that little bit of avocado oil in there. So let's go over and take care of that while we're letting that other one sit in there, and I'm going to multitask. We're going to multitask a little bit. So I'm going to wipe that excess off of there and screw around with my camera as much as I possibly can. That's also my goal for the day. How many times I can either mess with my camera or maybe even possibly knock it over. If I knock it over, that'd be good fun. That's always a good time. So you guys can check out that smoke there in the back with what I'm talking about. While I get that smoky bad boy out of there, we're going to wipe off that excess avocado oil, and we're going to put cast iron cure, and then that smoke will go away. It just does not need to be on there. There we go. And we're getting excess on there anyway. We don't want that. You can see that bad boy is smoking and has excess oil because we jumped missed that one step, and we're just going to wipe that off there. Wipe that right off. There we go. Wipe all that excess off of that. And we're going to skip that. We're going to put that in there with a little bit of cast iron cure on there. And we're going to get rid of that smoke. So I didn't sign up for smoke today. We used a clean rag. Get that off there. And that's the other reason I do not like using regular oils instead of cast iron cure to do my seasoning, because it does tend to pool up at times. And the other thing is I don't use regular oil to do it because it gets sticky. And if cast iron cure gets sticky, you can just buff it off with a clean towel, like a dish rag, like a kitchen towel. So we're going to put this on there. And we're going to get that a lot right over the logo, into the typewriter stuff, print, font, whatever you want to call it. A little more into that one spot. And away we go. Wipe the excess off of there. And we'll hit this other onto the front. Doesn't really need much more, but we'll put a little more on there. Shine that up. We can see that is steaming hot. It's probably about 400 degrees, I would imagine. Get down into that handle real good. Rag's getting warm. Get the handle really well. Is that in the shot? Am I into that at all? Yep. Okay, just making sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Get around the edges, the lip, and then we'll hit it with the clean rag and wipe the rest of that off of there. So we don't want to leave that on there. We're going to wipe off as much. I always tell people, wipe it off like you did something wrong. Like whatever you put on there, you don't want on there. You just wipe it off like you messed it up. That could be a little more oily. That just drinks it. These newer ones, the newer Wagners, they do drink it up real quick. And it's a lot rougher of a surface. Hit that back again with a little more. And go from there. And there we go. Okay, cool. And we'll set that back in there, because if you notice, the rest of these aren't really smoking that bad. Not a whole heck of a lot of smoke, especially for having 4 other pans in there. So we're at 450. Those are gonna sit in there for an hour. And I'm gonna go back over and mess with this one for another few minutes till we hit about 2:30 if we're not already there. For about another 5 minutes, we'll mess around with this other one. But I pretty much got to you guys what I wanted to get to you guys with, which was my little technique of doing some seasoning. And we're just gonna go from there. We're just gonna keep going with it. And there we are. Okay. Let's bring you over just a little bit farther that way. There we go. So that's been sitting in there about 20 minutes, I'd say. Yeah, roughly 20 minutes, almost to the minute. And we'll see how that little bit of vinegar in there did with the rust. You can see in here, if you can see in there, it's starting to bring the rust up. And the other thing, the big thing I wanted to bring up, and this one's obviously fire damaged as well. You can tell that by the red of the rust. So this one's probably been fire damaged as well. So this will probably be I'll probably have to deal with the same thing with this as I did with the smoker skillet. And you can see the rust, it's starting to kind of bring the rust up. And we'll hit that with our little, brush while we're still where we still have that vinegar water in there. And the other thing, like I said, I was just getting ready to bring up, is a vapor rust. I did try vapor rust a couple years ago, and a vapor rust does take care of rust really well, but it also pits your cast iron, and it leaves a taste and a smell on your cast iron that I have yet to get off of one of the pans. I actually ran it back through my lye tank and did it this way without the vapor rust, because it will, how do I want to say it? It'll rough your pans up. If you leave it in there any longer, I'm talking even 10 minutes, longer than the half hour to an hour that it says, or even overnight, longer than that, it'll rough your cast iron up, and it will leave a taste on there that it's almost like gasoline. It tastes like you cooked in propane, like on a propane stove. A vapor rust is definitely not the way to go for cast iron. Leave a vapor rust to people that are working on car engines or farm machinery or factory stuff. But I don't know if you guys are catching this, if you guys can catch this through there, but the chemical reaction with this sitting in the water, this is red, and it's not just from the water. This is obviously a fire damaged skillet. Somebody did probably throw this in the fire to clean it at one point, and that's what they mean by fire damage. If you're shopping online for a cast iron skillet and it has that red rust, swipe on by it. Swipe on by it like just go to the next thing, because it's no good. It'll never season right. And this will be another skillet that probably makes it out to will go into the campfire box. If I have a campfire section out in the garage, or you can see here where it's not wanting to remain wet, it's just dry, it's just soaking all that in. That's a good sign of fire damage. I have seen plenty of fire damage in my life, unfortunately. And that's because people did it because Grandpappy did it that way, or somebody else did it that way, or they watched their scout leader do it that way. I've had people tell me that. Well, that's what my scout leader showed me. Bad news. Let's check comment section. Let's see, might even see a white girl from Badger. She's a strong and empowered woman. Look, watch yourself. Let me see. I will not steal from buddies, especially if they are awake. Yeah, that's probably a good rule to have. Don't steal from your friends while they're awake. But you can tell that the rust is starting to come up. You can tell that it's starting to come off. You can see that there. But that red staining is a huge sign of fire damage. So somebody, and fire damage will also get a lead test. When I see fire damage cast iron, this will get a lead test before I use it. And probably, since I'm not going to finish it on here, I will break out a lead test. At some point, I'll let it dry. I got to let this dry all the way and not have any oil on it. Because if it has seasoning on it, sometimes that'll throw off your lead test and say that it's negative when really it's positive. And I would show you guys how to do lead testing on cast iron, but I just got new lead test swabs, so I don't know how to use them yet. So I got to figure that out before I show you guys. They used to have the 3M that were nice, and I don't see them anymore, where you just cracked them and rubbed them on, you shook it, and you rubbed the end of it onto whatever surface you were working with, and it would show you, it would turn, I think it would turn red or something. It would turn a color. But I ran out of those, and so I had to go onto Amazon and get different ones. And I have to activate them. And I can't remember. I was reading the instructions from Amazon and not anything else. So I have to actually read the instructions on the back of the package. And then, so I figured out I'll do a video once on how to lead test that particular brand. If you can see into my water here, my water's turning red from all the red rust from a fire damage skillet. Some people would even go as far as to throw this into the landfill because they are really hard to work with. They're really hard to season. But I'm going to see if it actually does work and take some kind of seasoning and cook okay, and if it actually is worth doing some hamburgers outside on the open fire, which it should be. You can still, they just don't season right. They still will work okay, but the inside isn't fire damaged at all. So that's one thing, except for right there on that corner. But definitely you do not want to play around with fire damage cast iron. It's no fun. Doesn't work right, and it takes a lot of time to mess with it. Let's see, I agree. Close work's not something I'd ever put anyone through, especially if you've ever been through it. Amen. Don't deserve. Oh yeah. Okay, getting into that. Anyway, so I'm gonna jump off of here. I'm gonna finish messing with this. I'm gonna lead test it and all that. I'm gonna figure out how my lead tests work, and then what I have in the oven. And because I'm probably going to continue to keep going with some other pieces, but I just wanted to do a little. I didn't come in on Thursday, and I figured since I was doing this today anyway, it was pretty much on topic. So I figured I'd come in and show you guys what I was at least up to today, and give you some of my tips and tricks to how I season and take care of cast iron. Do a little plug for the Cast Iron Cure. Scroll back up. You can find the link in the comment section under Rick's thing. If you'd like to pick any up, please do. Every little bit helps the channel. So I'm gonna jump off here. Rick, thanks so much for moderating this madness. Fuzz Fork, White Mountain Girl, Handsome Stone for showing up. I'm gonna keep it real. Thank you so much. And anybody else that was out there, like I said, I'm gonna keep it real. I was just kind of thinking of who all was in today. Radagast, thank you so much for stopping by and saying hello. I appreciate that. And anybody else out there in the stratosphere who stopped and said hello and all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate it. Thanks if you guys hit the like button on the way out. I would really appreciate that as well. And all that. Oh, there's Val. Val's Black Cats Rule. I didn't use a knife today, so you could So it's a good day. You could take the day off, Val. How's that? So anyway, I'm gonna jump off here. I'm gonna finish up this pan. I'm gonna dry it off. I'm gonna lead test it, but it's gonna take me probably 15, 20 minutes to figure that all out, and who wants to watch me do that? So anyway, I'm gonna jump off. Happy Sunday to everybody, and we will talk to you later and see you in the comment section. All right, see you.